WLBC in the morning, your uninterrupted rock block on your commute this morning. Let's get into it with a little bit of Black Dog by Led Zeppelin.
Nice one. That was a good one. See?
Hey, Lou.
Yeah.
You want to try this again?
Yes.
What do you want to talk about this week?
Music. I want to know, what does music mean to you?
Well, you tell me what music means to you first, and then while you're doing that, I'll think about it.
Oh, okay. So I didn't grow up with a lot of music going on. I mean, there was some here and there, but it was mostly old country and, Beach Boys or whatever. But I do remember growing up in Eugene or a little bit in Eugene.
Oregon?
Yeah.
Mm.
We had cable for a little bit. And
did you have MTV?
Yeah, I think it was MTV. And there was these two dudes with big old long beards, and they had guitars that spun.
Oh.
And I was like, what is that? That's cool. And then it was immediately turned off. And I was like,
What song was it? Was it Legs?
There was lots of ladies in the video.
Is that song called Legs?
I don't know.
I just remember Legs. And she knows how to use them, right?
Yeah. But, ZZ Top.
ZZ Top.
I found out later that it was ZZ Top, what I saw.
Yeah, they were pretty big back in the 80s in terms of like being on music television a lot, right?
Yeah. So I didn't know that kind of stuff existed, honestly.
Before ZZ Top?
Well, no, just before that. I thought maybe that was a commercial or whatever. I was little. So it was like in second grade or something.
You're like, what is this? Is this some sort of commercial?
Yeah, and then it was turned off,
Right.
But then, years later I find out. But I only thought that, old country. So it was like Waylon and Willie Nelson and, those kind of things. The Highwaymen.
Yeah.
Or Johnny Cash. And so I didn't know that anything else existed until maybe like junior high. And then it was like rap and stuff. And then high school, I thought, okay, Criss Cross, come on, seriously. And
they're going to make you jump and put your clothes on backwards.
Yeah, but then there was Vanilla Ice I found out, and I was like,
right.
Oh, okay. But I was never allowed to listen to any of that.
That song was almost unnaturally popular.
Yeah.
Like I remember them playing that every single day during the lunch hour in high school. Like just the quad was just filled with it, right?
Really?
Yeah, and it's not like, looking back on it, it's a super catchy song, but looking back on it now, I don't think it's that good of a song. I don't know. It's fine.
Yeah.
Right? But it was immensely popular.
Yeah.
Immensely.
And people would wear their jeans backwards, and I'm like, what's going on? What's happening?
A lot of airbrushing of acid wash jean clothing, right?
Which was kind of cool, but I wasn't allowed any of that stuff. I had to,
Okay, this is music adjacent, right? Because I think that fashion sometimes, at least for kids, follows, your musical taste in a way, or at least it did. But I had, back in the day, a pair of acid wash overalls with a silk patterned shirt, long sleeve silk patterned shirt,
goodness.
And a leather golf cap. That I would unsnap that front button and wear it forwards. And you could often find me doing the Running Man or any other variety of hip hop dance moves in the quad.
Yeah, but also that's the difference between California, where you grew up, and Arizona, where I eventually grew up.
Yeah.
Is that it was very different.
Yeah. You guys didn't have like hip hop kids. Not everybody in my school was like that.
I think we did. They were more skater than hip hop kids. I grew up in a predominantly white area.
Right.
It was like a FU to parents and to adults, but it was mostly like skater kids was like the hip hop kind of.
Oh yeah. Skater kids were into hip hop in Arizona?
A little bit, I think. I don't know. See, that I was totally oblivious to it. So in the beginning of my life, I wasn't really like musically anything because nothing really appealed to me.
Right.
As, a little.
You didn't like country music, generally speaking, or?
I like certain things.
Yeah.
Like certain songs. But
I know that sometimes when those songs come on.
Yeah.
You get a little nostalgic, right?
Yeah. Because, I remember skipping around and like, singing it to myself kind of a thing.
Right.
But I kind of grew up away from music, which is kind of sad. And maybe that would have like helped me. So I didn't really know any kind of music really until I met you. And you're like, I walked into your room and there was like a whole wall of just CDs. And I'm like, what in the world?
Yeah, I had a lot of, that was before MP3s, right?
I was very, very sheltered.
Yeah.
Or, suppressed, I guess. But because it was
did they
like
not play music around the house?
No. Mm-mm.
See, that's very different from me growing up. Yeah. My parents were constantly playing music on record or on cassette.
Yeah.
Like my mom would vacuum and kind of vacuum dance to Sailing by Christopher Cross. And memory that I had. My dad listened to like the Pet Shop Boys and Men at Work.
That's cool.
Which for the time was like modern music. Right?
Yeah. And that's what we do.
Yeah.
I don't think a day goes by where we don't play something.
Right. Yeah.
Either cooking dinner or just,
pancakes on Saturdays.
Pancake Saturdays. Like, and we would play music for like when they were babies and stuff too.
Yeah, when you were pregnant and stuff, we would play like They Might Be Giants and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Get them started young on that stuff. Yeah.
But or some of my favorite bands I didn't know existed, which is just, it should be illegal, I think.
You think that lawmakers should stop everything they're doing right now and just make a law about don't let your kids grow up without music?
No, they're already making laws about stupid, ridiculous crap now instead of what's really necessary. But I lament.
You digress. Let's move on to music.
I give up.
Don't give up
on me. I quit for now.
But yeah, I think that music has been a very important part of you and I's relationship and life. And we were raising the kids with like a lot of access to a lot of different types of music. Right. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of magical and a little weird that each of them have kind of chosen different paths musically, taste wise. Like Bryce is very like hip hop, lo-fi beats, kind of thing.
Run the Jewels,
Kendrick Lamar. And then Liam is more like Def Leppard and Led Zeppelin. Mm-hmm. And then, Cameron is, listening to a lot of really cool stuff as well.
Okay,
my mind blanked. I can't even remember.
Okay, so I asked each of them what their favorite artist was and their favorite song was. Yeah. So Cameron, who's 13, his favorite artist right now is NF.
Oh, NF. I was trying to think of that. Yeah.
And his favorite song from NF is The Search, which is really cool.
That's a great song.
Yeah. And so his favorite artists are like video game score artists.
Oh, that's right. He's really into that. Those video game like 8-bit tunes, chip tunes. Yeah.
So he even knows their names. From Undertale, Toby Fox, and then from Shovel Knight, Jake Kaufman.
Yeah, see, when you like something, you kind of dig in, right?
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't, if you just said, hey, Jake Kaufman, you like Jake Kaufman stuff, I would be like, I don't know who that is.
And he goes, no, it's the score from Shovel Knight.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
That's pretty rad.
So Bryce, who's 18, his favorite artist right now is Gorillaz.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And his favorite song is A Day by Atmosphere Supreme by the Nujabes.
Oh,
by Nujabes. Yeah.
Is that a band or just a single act?
I don't even know. Like, I probably should have listened to this song before.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that person either or band.
He's very curious about music and stuff. He's all over the place.
Well, I mean, his generation has had direct access to music forever, right? Like when I was a kid, in order to listen to music, you had to either own the LP or the cassette and then eventually CD, right?
Right.
But you couldn't just go and stream music on YouTube or stream music on Spotify.
Now everything's so available so quickly that it's got to be a little daunting, to be 18, 22 at this time. Where anything is possible and everything is possible. It also is probably pretty freeing.
I think about it a lot. Like, how do people discover new stuff now? Mm-hmm. Like, when I was a kid, the radio, other kids would be like, oh, this is the hot new fresh fire beats, right? But now, like, how do you find the new stuff? What I do is I'll just go on Twitter and be like, I need some new hip hop or I need some new
recommendations.
XYZ. Mm-hmm. And then, I'll get replies about that, or I'll go on YouTube and just like search new music or something, or I'll go into Apple Music and be like, today's hits, right? And just see if there's anything I like. And I found a lot of artists that way.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't feel the same as, I think it maybe what you're saying is a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
There's too much. It's like a fire hose as opposed to this kind of like, and I'm not saying that radio gatekeeping was better.
Right.
But it did make the amount of stuff coming at you smaller than it is now.
More manageable, maybe,
Yeah.
seeming. But I guess, the 80s and 90s were more of a simple time, but maybe not in the greatest of ways, too.
I mean, simple because we didn't have access to the internet, right?
That's what I mean, is that it took so much research to find out,
right,
things.
Yeah.
And to find the things you like.
I think that's why MTV did so well, right? Like MTV launching now nobody would give a crap about it.
Yeah.
Right. But back then it was like a really a legitimate way to find new music.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Liam, who's 22, his favorite artist is Def Leppard.
Yes. See, I was right there.
Yeah. And now he's kind of an old soul. He's kind of an old school guy. He wants like a record player and he wants cut off T-shirts and he's,
he's like 70.
Yeah. He's like a very cool 70s guy stuck in a 22-year-old body.
No, I meant he's 70 years old.
That's what I
mean. Stuck in a 20. Oh,
no,
I thought you meant.
That's what I mean.
Okay.
He's like a 70-year-old dude.
Yeah.
And his favorite song is My Future by Billie Eilish. Which is a very cool song.
Yeah.
I like that song too.
I do too. I also very much like Billie Eilish. I don't think I like every song she's ever done, but just the artistry that's there.
Yeah.
And her brother is super talented too.
Yeah.
And it's a real like impressive thing to me when people can kind of conjure out of nowhere something like as beautiful as they do. Right.
Yeah.
Because whether you like the lyrics or the beats or you can't deny that that's real songwriting talent and real artistry going on in those recordings, right? But yeah, Billie Eilish is pretty cool.
Yeah. So Freddie, she's only gonna be 5, but she loves musical movies. So she loves her very first one that she ever loved was Moana.
Yes.
She loved Moana and she had to watch it over and over and over again every day.
Yeah.
And now so much it's like Princess and the Frog and Cars, like all those.
Right.
All those. And the newest one that she likes is Over the Moon. Mm-hmm. That one that we watched the other night.
Oh, yeah. I love that movie. That has Philippa Soe from Hamilton, from the original cast of Hamilton.
Yeah. That's got lovely music in it.
Yeah. Her voice is so powerful and impactful. It's very emotional.
Yeah. I like that movie.
Yeah.
I'm glad we did that.
Yeah, it was a fun movie night, right?
Yeah.
We made vegan pizzas. We build your own. And
we just hit our 1 year living in this house and in this town, which was a pretty big deal, pretty big move for us.
Right.
So we just hit 365 days. So we celebrated with the pizza and movie night.
Yeah.
It was pretty
It was
cool.
fun.
But since Freddie was born, which is almost 5 years ago,
right.
I've played Adele, like just all of her albums, Adele every single night.
Yeah.
And so now I'm hoping that it's this psychological thing that every time she hears Adele, she gets sleepy.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Are you sick of any Adele songs at this point?
Nope.
No, it's weird, right?
Yeah.
She has one of those voices and one of those artistries where like you go, wow, I could just really literally listen to this every day.
Yeah. I
and
do.
not get sick of it. Yeah.
I do. Every night I listen to it when I'm putting her to bed.
It's no Rage Against the Machine.
Oh my gosh.
Thanks, Jason.
And even she was on SNL the other night. I was like, oh, I know this one.
Oh yeah. She just starts.
I've heard this one for 5 years.
How effortless is that for her?
Oh, come on.
She just starts
Seriously.
belting out of nowhere.
I know.
That's crazy.
So the point of this whole music thing is that it's become such a huge part of our lives and mine specifically. And for the life of me, I cannot remember what I was watching or what we were watching. It was a documentary or a movie or something where this guy was like a street performer. And he said that every piece of music starts with some sort of beat. And because the whole emphasis is the very first piece of music you ever hear is your mother's heartbeat while you're in their womb.
Yeah, that's
and I
cool.
thought that was such a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
Because there's something about music that just draws people, whether they play it or just listen to it.
Right.
And there's different variations of being into music. But I think the more you listen, the more it becomes a part of you. And I think music for me now has become a part of me. I can listen to a song that we used to play in 1996 and it takes me back there.
What song is that?
It's something from Boston, probably, or Air Supply.
Chicago, or Air Supply. That was what I thought was romance back then. I'd be like, "Hey, baby," and then I put on like some Air Supply.
That was your Barry White.
It was, yeah. It was. Well, no, I liked Barry White too, but like for some reason, I just thought like Chicago and Air Supply and Journey were like romantic songs.
They were.
I mean, kind of.
They were.
It's kind of cheesy, but that's, when I was growing up in the 80s, I have memories of those songs as being like,
Yes, exactly. And that's
important songs.
That's the beauty of music and the beauty of artists is that they can bring that
right
through drums, through a guitar, through even a cappella.
Yeah. Vocal
right?
chords. Yeah.
And so watching the evolution of music, even since, from when I started paying attention to it,
right,
which was 96, right?
Yeah.
It's inspiring, it's healing, its memories are tied to it, it's comforting, it's uplifting. When I have to go and confront somebody or I have to go do a chore or run an errand by myself.
Confront somebody? Does that happen a lot?
Well, okay, so specifically one time I had, Bryce was getting braces, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I was very upset that he had to get braces because I knew it was going to be a painful process for him, but unfortunately, he had a bike accident and he knocked out his tooth. And then, we don't want anything to move around. And so he needed braces.
Right.
And so I would have to take him by myself to go and make this happen. And he was upset about it and I was upset about it. So I put on music.
Right.
And that's usually my go-to thing. If I'm upset and I just am stuck in my head a little bit, I'll put on Pink. And she usually helps me. Right. And I then, after listening to 2 or 3 Pink songs, I feel powerful. I feel like if Pink can feel this way and still be who she is, which looks to me like she's powerful, probably not all the time, but then I can be too. Right. And so I'll put on Pink and then I'll be able to confront or to talk to people. It's usually a talking to people anxiety or managing a situation, whether it's taking the kids to the doctor or
I think
doing an errand by myself is usually pretty like dramatic feeling in my inside of me.
Right. I think that's a very common human thing, like tribes, warring tribes having sort of like, some sort of a drum or some sort of other musical war cry.
Right. Like, like Native Americans and stuff, they would have like a hunting ceremony and all that stuff.
Yeah. Or like, people going to work out and like before they start lifting, right. They're just like, pumped up by the music. Right.
Right.
Or like, when I was in high school and I was on the track and field team, I would listen to Red Hot Chili Peppers. Yeah. And I had this little ceremony I would do where I'd listen to Red Hot Chili Peppers' Blood Sugar Sex Magic album, and I would draw the Red Hot Chili Peppers symbol on my wrist, on my throwing wrist, and then I'd go out there and I'd throw, right?
Yeah.
But I would be super pumped up because of that music, right?
So that's a powerful thing.
Right.
You can listen to one song and it makes you and all of like, it's like a meditative thing where it just...
changes your whole mood.
Right.
Yeah.
It can. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. There was something we were watching where these people were taking old iPod shuffles and they were putting music from the 20s or 30s on them and then taking them to nursing homes and watching people who are wheelchair bound or kind of shut down and putting music in their ears and watching their bodies and their faces and their spirits come to life is emotional to watch. But on the other side of it, being having empathy and feeling what they're feeling, like that's got to be an amazing feeling to be, shut down and stuck. And then all of a sudden now you remember and you can like visualize what it felt like to be 20 in the 20s or, you know, whatever the age it is.
Yeah.
There's got to be more to music than just.
Well, I feel like we kind of tie memories to music in a way too, right? Like some songs will take me right back to the first time I heard them.
Yeah.
Right? Like, or remind me of a specific person, right? Like, you know, Madonna songs or like, you know, Luther Vandross, that kind of R&B stuff reminds me of a specific person in my past, right?
Yeah.
Garth Brooks reminds me of a specific person in my past, right?
Yeah.
The Pet Shop Boys reminds me of my dad. The Men at Work, right? Neil Young reminds me of my dad. Like, like when I hear like Old Man or Needle and the Damage Done, I immediately think of my dad, right? Or Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here, right? There's all these songs that I think tie you to a specific space and time, right?
Yeah.
Or not the person themselves, but
The way
the
you
people
felt
around you. Yeah.
them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like just to be clear, you know, thinking about those other people, like when I hear Garth Brooks or Madonna or Luther Vandross, those aren't happy memories. So I don't listen to that music very much anymore, right? Because I don't want to be taken back to those points.
Right.
But I do listen to Pink Floyd and Neil Young to remember.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like there's the difference. They can be tied to bad, terrible memories, right? But they can also be tied to happy memories, like driving around with the 2 senior cheerleaders who took me under their wing when I was a freshman playing Kokomo by the Beach Boys in their little, you know, Volkswagen Golf or whatever it was with the top down, cabaret, whatever that car is called. But, you know, like that's a happy memory because I remember being like scared to death to go to high school.
Yeah.
And then
Me
I was
too.
in drafting class and these 2 senior cheerleaders were like, hey, you can be our friend. And they gave me a ride home that day. And then I was friends with them for like that whole year after, and then they graduated, right? But it made going to high school not feel as bad.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I wish I had that.
What, like a good high school memory?
Yeah.
I don't have very many more
I
after
was
that.
terrified to go to high school.
Yeah.
And then 2 days before I had to start high school, I got my monthly womanly thing
Oh, no.
for the first time ever. And
Yeah.
I was like, this can't be good.
Your monthly inconvenience. Yeah.
This can't be good. This cannot be good.
You're like, this is an omen.
This is a bad, bad omen.
Well, you said earlier that you didn't start really paying attention to music until 96. And so that was like the year before you graduated high school.
yeah.
So your first couple of years of high school were probably like kind of
It was very difficult.
not musical, right?
Yeah.
Other than like, you know, the country stuff that you were hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and thankfully there was Garth Brooks that I could kind of go, see, this is country.
Yeah.
This person looks country. Is it okay if I listen to it?
Yeah. And there's something about Garth Brooks, like he's the reason that I even gave any other country a chance. And
Yeah.
now I really love a lot of the stuff like
Yeah.
Willie Nelson and Johnny Cash, Chris Christopherson, right? That I
Yeah.
would not have ever even considered listening to
Yeah.
were it not for Garth Brooks, that bridge from
Yeah.
Garth Brooks into that. And then you've got like the Dixie Chicks that just solidifies it, right?
Taylor Swift kind of goes back and forth a little
Yeah,
bit. There
Taylor
was old
Swift.
school, there was Elvis, and that's
Right.
how I know some R&B songs, even like old school songs, is my mother was a very huge Elvis fan, and
Right.
so I'm like, oh, that's an Elvis song, and you're like, nope,
No, it's not an Elvis
no,
song.
it is not, ma'am.
Yeah, most of his songs weren't his. You know, early Beatles is the same way though. They weren't singing their own songs at first. But you know, you look at some of the early Beatles stuff after you've opened your heart to country music. You look at some of the old Beatles or the Eagles and you're like, "Oh, that's just country music too, but just not labeled as such, right? But it's similar stuff." I even go so far, and I know that I get like hate for this, but hip hop and country music are way more similar than I think people
Okay.
give it credit for.
So I think we need to do an episode on this because I heard something the other day that it totally makes sense, right? So most music, I don't think this is my opinion, but I do support it, is that, or it is my opinion,
Right.
but I didn't make this up is what I'm
Right,
saying,
right.
is that most music comes from Motown. Most music like is inspired by black music.
Right.
And so when you think about it, yes, country is singing the blues.
Yeah.
So what are some of your favorites? What are some of your favorite bands and favorite?
So it's changed over time, right? Like I still have an enormous catalog of music. It's just all MP3s now. Mm-hmm. I think the last time I checked, I had like enough music that I could play 4 hours of music every day and never repeat for 10 years or something. I did the calculation. I can't remember what the exact was, but it's a lot. But I jump back and forth. You know, when I was really young, Weird Al Yankovic, and They Might Be Giants and stuff like that, kind of comedy, goofy, but like still a lot of talent.
Yeah.
Music was where it was at for me. And then as I got older, I started to get into early hip hop. Mm-hmm. And I rode that hip hop train for a long time. I still listen to hip hop to this day, but it's not as prevalent in my life as it was when I was in high school and when I first met you. A lot of hair bands. Mm-hmm. In that time too, like it was a very strange dichotomy, because one day I'd show up at school as like a hip hop kid, and then the next day I'd show up at school and I was like a Faith No More, right, rocker kid.
Right.
For me, music has always not been about like picking a team as much as it's just about like what's out there and what other things can I get, like, you know, for lack of a better phrase, like turn me on, right? Like I want to find all of the stuff. And so I just have a very wide variety of music that I love. Currently I'm really into Harry Styles right now.
Who isn't?
His album right now, this Fine Line album is so good. It's just, I think Stevie Nicks was absolutely 100% correct that it's his Rumors, right? Like it's such a good album. I would compare it to any of the best stuff that the Beatles ever did. Yeah. And I know that this is going to make me sound nuts because it's Harry Styles from One Direction or whatever. But don't sleep on Harry Styles, dear listener. Yeah. Get out there and listen to that song, because it's great. Yeah, it's a fucking great album. And then I just cussed. Ooh. Yikes. And then I'm also, you know, I will always be indebted to Avett Brothers, I think.
Yeah.
I was away from home on a trip, on a jet plane. Didn't know when I would be back again. And I was sitting in the hotel room and these guys with banjos came on Conan, and I was like, bluegrass, I don't know. I don't like a ton of bluegrass, right? Mm-hmm. I like the way banjo sounds, but I was just not, I was like, I don't know, I'm going to switch the channel. And then they started singing Paranoia in B major.
Oh, come on.
And stomping and like thrashing those banjos. Mm-hmm. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
This band is going places.
Yeah. Paranoia in B major is my favorite song of all time.
Oh, not just from the Avett Brothers, of all time.
It's my favorite song.
Wow.
Because it starts out, I keep telling myself that it'll be fine. You can't make everybody happy all the time. Mm. I find myself in a place that I've never been, a place that I thought I could never be. There's people looking back at me.
Yeah.
And for me, and not, you know, how they wrote it, but for me, it's about becoming a mom.
Oh, yeah.
Having those, I never thought I would be that way.
Right.
I never thought that I'd have little babies looking back at me and expecting me to take care of them. And I can't make everyone happy, and I can't even make them happy all the time, but I'm sure as hell going to try it.
So isn't that cool how you can take lyrics that clearly, I mean, neither one of those people are moms.
Right.
And at the time they weren't fathers even, mm-hmm. but you can take this song that they wrote, probably about being, you know, starting to get a little fame.
Yeah.
And make it about what you're feeling and what mm-hmm. you're doing. That's the greatest gift of music, right? Yeah. Is that song can mean different things to different people for different reasons.
Yeah.
And none of them have to be right, and mm-hmm. none of them are wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a theory that, you know, some artists will tell you exactly what they were thinking and feeling when they wrote that song. But then there's other artists that go, well, what do you think it's about?
Yeah.
Because it was very personal for them. And so they don't really say what it is, but it's also leaves it up for interpretation.
Yeah.
Like sometimes that's a good way to end a movie. That's a good way to have a song, is that it doesn't have a specific ending to it or a specific reason for it. That way you can apply it very easily to your life or to your neighbor's life or to whatever.
Well, that's how you make fans.
Yeah.
right, is because you give somebody something that they can connect to their own life and connect with you in some way.
And then you've got, two fans for life. You know what I mean?
Right. Like Neil Young's Needle and the Damage Done, right? That song is quite clearly about heroin and addiction.
Yeah.
Now, I've never done heroin,
Right.
but I have addictions and I understand what that song means and why that song exists. And I connect with it in a way that is very different than what he meant when he wrote it when he was 24 years old. But I, since I was 24 years old, have really connected with that song. And I've had people tell me, you don't know what it's like because heroin's like, this is the devil's drug. It's so hard to kick. And I'm like, have you ever tried to stop eating?
Yeah.
Like you can't. Like I'm not trying to say that food addiction is as bad as heroin addiction or cocaine addiction, but it's not trivial.
Right. Exactly.
Right? It's still addiction. It's still something where every single day my brain goes, why don't you go get some cookies? And I have to go, okay. Right. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I have a voice in my head, just like any other addiction. And I know because I've had other addictions that's controlling what you're trying to do. Right.
Yeah.
And it's a tough thing to deal with. And I don't think we should all get into this battle of like my addiction's worse than your addiction, because then nobody gets help.
Yeah.
We all need help. We don't need to be arguing over who's got the best and hardest addiction to kick.
We are all struggling. And even people like me who I don't feel like I have any addictions, but I do have dark thoughts.
Yeah.
And that Neil Young song is about, his dark thoughts. And so if he can be an amazing artist and reach a lot of people and be famous and all this thing and still have dark thoughts, then it's okay if I have dark thoughts.
Yeah.
And he's still around. I'm still around. I can't connect with it in the same way, but
no, but you've found a connection to it.
And, I've watched you struggle and I've watched your dad struggle. And, I've had people in my life who have had addictions. And so it's, you can connect with it. You just have to be empathetic and open to it doesn't have to mean exactly what he's saying.
Right.
It can be another way of looking at it.
That's a super good point. Yeah, that's a super good point.
And we all have low lows and we all have those things that just eat us up sometimes.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be exactly addiction.
Right. So back to the favorites.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Avett Brothers, of course. Tenacious D, I would consider a favorite band. I know that they're, again, another kind of a jokey band, but also
very talented.
Super talented, yeah.
And I mean, that stuff has life lessons, man. Yep. Always be recording is a great life lesson that we have used for decades, my dude.
Yes,
decades.
Yes, my guy.
Always be recording.
Yeah, always be recording. But yeah, there's just something about them that I really enjoy. I like the Foo Fighters a lot too.
Yeah. He's just a super sweet, lovely guy, Dave Grohl.
Yeah. I like so many different things. I don't know if I have like a specific 100%. Because when I think about like favorites, I think about, okay, well, if this is my favorite, that means that I would never not want to hear it. Or if for some reason everything else was gone and this was the only thing left, I'd be fine. And that's hard for me because there's so much that I like. It's similar to me though with anything that I dive into, right? Like it's hard for me to choose one yo-yo.
Yo-yos, board games,
movies.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to just narrow it down.
So
I can do
what
top
I mean
10
is
lists
right
and stuff.
now.
Right now?
What's your go-tos other than Harry Styles? Because you already said it.
Oh, damn it. So I've been listening to the new Chicks album a lot.
Yeah.
It's so haunting.
It breaks my
heart. It's so personal.
I've not been through a divorce.
Right.
Or anyone around me been through a divorce.
I've been through a divorce.
Okay. Yes, but I wasn't around you at the time of that.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But again, it goes back to that thing that it doesn't have to be a divorce. It could be an ending of a relationship. Right. It can be an ending of any kind of a relationship with like a friend or a parent or a
death
a sibling.
Does not have to be literal, right?
Right. Yeah. Or even just the relationship that you have with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. You can have little micro deaths constantly, right? And there's still a grieving process to be had there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that album's really good. I also really like the new Taylor Swift album, which I know I probably don't sound super cool, but I don't care. I don't give a shit, right? Like, I like the music I like, right? I like John Travolta's Razzmatazz. I think that's a wonderful song.
I laugh because I have to, but I get what you're saying. Don't take my laughter, but
yeah,
it's just
it's a weird choice.
It's not a weird choice for you. I totally get it.
Right.
But it's just a weird choice that he would make.
Oh no, because when he recorded that song, he was doing he was doing musical movies, right? Like it was close around Grease and Saturday Night Fever and stuff. So it made sense that he would do an album.
I still can't get it.
And then you like, I really like David Hasselhoff's music too. I think that I really do. I think he makes good music, and
it's hilarious.
The original cast of the Brady Bunch had a soundtrack album. I know you're laughing at me.
I know, but
sometimes people will be like, what's your weirdest guilty pleasure? And I'll just pull up one of those and they'll be like, that's not a real thing. And I'll be like, no, I own it and it's great. But I'm not being jokey about it. I actually like those albums.
Like I said, it makes sense that you would make that choice, but it doesn't make sense that David Hasselhoff would make that choice.
Oh, have you seen?
No, and I won't.
No. There's a clip of him going around online right now where he's playing Jekyll and Hyde on Broadway.
Oh.
And he's absolutely killing it.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going to pull that clip up for you after this because it's impressive.
Oh, wow, cool.
Like you go, oh yeah, Baywatch, whatever. What a loser. But the guy's actually super talented and you wouldn't know from just the Baywatch stupid stuff,
Not to keep bringing it up, but empathy, he's struggled with addiction, so he would understand that, back and forth, that Jekyll pull. And Hyde, that pull of good and bad, and that might be
Jekyll and Hyde.
I believe that would be
a metaphor for alcoholism.
It could be, or any kind of like, during that time, maybe it was opioids or whatever. But
but like changing your personality based on taking, I don't know. I'm not by no means a fiction scholar, right? So I don't know like really what those things are about, but it kind of lines up. It makes sense, right? But yeah, Harry Styles album, top of the list.
For right now.
Yeah. I like the new Run the Jewels a lot. I'm still a big hip hop fan. I've found that my taste in hip hop has changed more than my consumption of hip hop, right? So like growing up, I was very much into the West Coast stuff, right? Snoop Dogg, Tupac, Dr. Dre. And then I was always like, oh, I don't want to listen to anything out of Atlanta or New York. But then as I've gotten older, I'm like, oh wait, some of the best stuff came out of Atlanta and New York, right? And then there's some really great stuff coming out of that came out of Houston as well, right around the same time. But I was so close, being in California, I was so close to all of that West Coast stuff.
So you could relate better.
Right. Like there were rappers one town over from me, like E40, that were just at the time hustling, right? Selling CDs out of the trunk of their car at the Vallejo Mall, right? Like that right now everybody knows who E40 is. Yeah. But back then he was just some guy trying to make it, right?
Yeah. And that's relatable.
It's super relatable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he also has such a like amazingly distinct voice. I really like his work. But yeah, I would just go with those as my current favorites. And that'll change probably next week or
no, it won't. That Harry Styles will be there for a while.
That Harry Styles has been there for almost the whole year so far.
Yeah. And hello.
I just keep putting it on. I do. I go, I'm going to listen to some music while I code or while I'm doing this design or whatever. And I'm like, what am I going to, oh, Harry, boom. Right? Like it's just a no brainer.
Yeah, exactly. All right,
what about you?
Some of my favorites.
Yeah.
Well, Avett Brothers.
Yes.
Right? Paranoid in B major. It's just the haunty banjo in the beginning that gets me.
That's my second favorite Avett Brothers song, but it's such a good song, yeah.
So there's this one moment that is really great. We were on our move to Seattle
from Nashville.
Yeah, for a job. And we had our boys in the back and we were up front, and we were worried about the snow. And we were worried about being able to make it up the mountains and stuff. And then Selina from the Avett Brothers came on.
Right.
And without planning it, it was just a moment of pure like coincidence, but greatness as well. We all started singing.
Yeah.
Even the little boy, our little boys in the back, we all just started singing from town to town and state to state. There's people everywhere trying to capture us. And we stole the cash and left our names and almost slipped in Indianapolis.
Right.
The rain, it fell. The story went on. The rain, it fell, and we got gone. Even our little boys in the back were like singing along, and it was just a moment of pure like amazement. I will never ever forget that.
It was a really special. I remember like we kind of filled that. We filled our little Dodge Dakota up with song and love and connection.
All the hope, and we were all together and we were all just synced up. And I love those moments when our family can do that.
Yeah, it's pretty
When we're
impressive.
all on the same exact page and obviously the same exact word.
I think
how often can that happen?
Yeah.
Growing up, that didn't happen for me. We were never synced, you know?
I think that's why we are, though, is because we both had that kind of like my parents did their best for what they could do, right? Mm-hmm. But we didn't have that same sort of synchronicity, right? That we have, you and I and the kids. Yeah. I mean, even like on that same trip, once we got there, we had a little issue in the hotel and an alarm started going off because some drunk person pulled a fire alarm. And we had little kids.
Yeah.
Nobody in that situation panicked. We all looked at each other and like got everything together, and we were out of that hotel
within like 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah. And we had fully unpacked at that point when that alarm started going off. We were all getting ready to get into bed.
Yeah.
And we didn't nobody was scream crying. Everybody just was like, oh, I know what to do. I've got to get this. I got to get this. I got to pack this.
Yeah. We even had we had a little dog and we had 2 cats at the time. We got everything. We were 3 minutes out of there.
Yep. I've always thought of that as like, all right, like if shit pops off, we're going to be all right. Because we could have all just sat there and went, oh my God, what's happening? And panicked. But none of us did. Even Cameron was very little.
Yeah.
And he still was like, oh, I've got this and I've got this.
Yeah.
Right.
He grabbed his little stuffed animal and his pillow, and he held onto my pant leg the whole entire time.
It just turned out to be some drunk person pulling a fire alarm.
We did not know that at the time, and so it was amazing to we were all connected on that trip on that. And then we got to the house, and the house didn't have heat, and we're like, oh, we're all sleeping together tonight. Get in here.
We had a great connection on that trip.
So okay, so that was a great moment that I adore.
Right.
Anything by Pink, anything. But Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken, obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Love Me Anyway, My Attic, The Truth About Love album is really cool. There's a song called True Love, and it's sometimes I hate every single stupid word you say. Sometimes I want to slap you in your whole face. There's no one quite like you. You push all my buttons down. I know life would suck without you.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that doesn't say exactly how I feel on a day-to-day basis, you're welcome.
I'm that bad.
You're not that bad.
I'm a bad man. Bad.
Oh, but going back to the Avett Brothers, your favorite song is The Weight of Lies.
Yeah, my favorite Avett Brothers song of all time is Weight of Lies, and then Paranoid in B Major, and then Murder in the City. And that's my top 3.
What's your very favorite line? Let's see. I once heard the worst thing a man can do is draw a hungry crowd, tell everyone his name and pride and confidence, but leaving out his doubts.
Yeah.
So, don't bring everyone together and then just say, oh, I'm the best, I'm the coolest.
Yeah.
Look at me. It's about bring everyone together and go, look, we're all struggling. I'm struggling. I have dark thoughts. These things are happening. I have this, I have that. I know you guys have that too, but just, let's all just be together and be cool.
Yeah, when I first heard that, I was riding my 13-mile trek on my recumbent bicycle, as one does. And that song came on, and I was like, oh, great, I love this song. And then for some reason, I'd been listening to that song for weeks or months, and in that situation, I just heard it differently.
Yeah.
And the lyrics hit different, as the kids say. And it just, I don't know, something about it, something going on at the time, I guess, like mentally for me, for me, it's a lot about don't be too prideful without also being genuine, right?
Yeah.
Like I think it's okay. I think about this quite often. I think it's okay to have some pride in what you do or what you accomplish, but don't let the whole story be pride.
Yeah.
For instance, I was talking to somebody yesterday about mentoring, and I have a lot of pride about that because I really like doing it. It's fulfilling for me. And someone reached out to me and asked me to do mentoring, right? And so there's some pride involved there. But at the same time, I have to check that bit of my ego and understand that also I can't just go in there and be like, oh, I'm number one best, and so listen to everything I say. Because then I lose out on I miss an opportunity to learn from them.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how much I've learned in the 6 or 7 months that I've been mentoring compared about myself as a designer compared to what I learned before I started mentoring, right? Like, I feel like I've learned more recently about myself just because I've had to say these things out loud to someone else.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've been doing a mentoring session and I'll say something, I'll be like, oh shit, that's a good quote. And I'll write it down, right?
Yeah. I used to tell the boys, especially our oldest, that it's all cool and have some pride in who you are, have some pride in what you do.
Yeah.
But make sure your head can fit through the door.
Yeah.
Don't get caught up in, that you're the best, because one wrong move and you can find yourself on your butt.
Yeah. And I'm not talking about like, false humility or like trying to stay humble, bro. Like I'm talking about like legitimately having introspection into your own behaviors and realizing when you've gone off the rails and try to correct that behavior for the future. Right.
Yeah. So
if you've produced too much pride and you haven't given them enough of the rest of the story,
right,
then you need to correct that, right? So that's a very important song to me, and I put that quote in almost every talk I give.
Yeah,
because I think it's important.
It's
super relatable.
Relative.
I'm
on a roll today.
No, relative is like.
Oh boy,
I love that song.
No, stop. Okay, so Queen, Freddie Mercury, whatever, anything.
Queen is a very amazing band that I think a lot of people sleep on, but then once they discover it and listen to it, they go, "Oh shit, yeah, no way, this is amazing."
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fleetwood Mac, Stevie Nicks will always be my icon, my lady. Like, I feel at this point in my life, things kind of are linear in a way based on babies, right?
Right.
So pre-babies.
They're like your touchstones.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what was I doing? I don't know. Couldn't tell you. But I do know that since then, it's always on my mind, right? Yeah. Landslide is my second favorite kind of song that is always, part of who I am.
Is that your favorite Fleetwood Mac song?
It's like the one I'm listening to is my favorite. Does that make any sense?
No, total sense. Yeah.
Because I go, oh, I'm gonna turn on Fleetwood Mac and Landslide, and then it'll switch to another song before I can get to it to turn it off or whatever. And I'm like, oh, I like this song. And then it'll happen like, 10 times, and I go, no, this is a really good one. No, this is a really good one.
Yeah.
So
that band
is the one I'm listening to at the moment.
Band has an incredible flow on the albums, but also you can take any song from any album, put them together in a compilation, i.e. the greatest hits, and it still has that flow.
Yeah.
That the regular albums that they purposely made them like that.
Yeah. And I almost feel like I shouldn't have watched like VH1 Behind the Music like ever, because knowing that band was in such turmoil and such like, not hatred, but like so much like anger and just, upheaval at any time. It could have been, split up and killed and whatever.
But do you think that's part of why they were great?
Maybe so, because sometimes like, even as parents and even as a couple that we are, if we're mad at each other, we're really, we pour everything we are into our kids.
Right.
Right. Or into our family, or like we're mad at each other, but we're still solid. We're still good as far as what we do for our family.
Yeah, I love you, but I'm still hitting you.
Yeah, right. I love you, but I'm still, I'm mad at you, but I'm still holding the umbrella.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of a thing.
Right.
So maybe that is part of like why they're so awesome, because they put it all into the music rather than, breaking up earlier than they actually did.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about that in our creative conundrum episode where, some art comes from pain, right?
Yeah.
Music is art, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the best music comes from pain, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all of the songs that I can think of that I really love are painful, emotional songs, and they're coming from somebody somewhere has put emotion into them, right?
Yeah.
Even if the person's performing it didn't write it, like, that Sinead O'Connor song, Nothing Compares to You, right? Prince wrote that song, and Prince was going to record that song, but then Sinead got it. But Sinead puts something into it.
She understood it.
Where it becomes her song.
Yeah.
And there's this emotional backing to it.
Right.
Right. And that made it a hit song, and not because it was so well written or that it was the best music or the best vocal performance. It was because
it was
of all of those things.
It was translated to us in a deep way too.
Right.
So that brings me to my next, Cyndi Lauper. There's just something about her that I love visually and like her music wise.
Because she wants to have fun.
Yeah. All girls just want to have fun.
Yeah.
The way she sings that song, which, is amazing, and I love it. But I've also heard another version of it.
Yeah.
Where it's just stripped down and it's like,
it's that guy Chance something.
Yeah, acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
That's a really great way too.
I like that. I love that song a lot. Did you know that song is a cover?
No. Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yes. It was originally recorded in the 60s by a man, and it's got kind of like a creepy vibe to it.
Oh, great.
But then Cyndi took it and she made it into an anthem. So
okay, then.
I think you can take songs that aren't maybe what they could be and turn them into what they can be and what they become, right? So
okay, good.
Another example of that would be Jimi Hendrix, All Along the Watchtower. And most people think that's a Jimi Hendrix song. It is a Bob Dylan song.
See, that's just, I haven't listened to a lot of Bob Dylan, and I don't, I don't know. I don't know if it's my jam.
You don't think it's your bag?
I don't even know what that means, but yeah.
The Bob Dylan version of that song is very good, but it doesn't hold a candle to the Jimi Hendrix version. And everybody remembers the Jimi Hendrix version because, it's got that amazing solo on the guitar, left-handed, and
come on, upside down guitar, because he didn't have left-handed guitar.
Yeah, because they didn't make left-handed guitars. So you had to figure out how to play it backwards.
Amazing.
And so people remember that song, and it just became Jimmy's song.
Yeah.
Right. And just like Girls Want to Have Fun became Cyndi's song.
Yeah.
Right. Because she put a new upbeat anthem, girls power spin on it.
Well, I adore that song.
Where it's originally sung by some guys like, girls just want to have fun.
Ew.
And it's like, he didn't even do it that good. Like,
I was going to say.
It was way creepier.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I love that song.
Do you like other songs by Cyndi?
Yeah. Time After Time and She Bop. Yeah.
No, She Bop's about masturbation.
Awesome.
Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Next time you listen to it, listen to the lyrics.
Nope. Thank you. I'll forget this immediately. The Chicks, I love the Chicks.
The Chicks are awesome.
Set Me Free. They did a version of Landslide, which I like. Wide Open Spaces.
You know what I really appreciate about them? They took their brand and completely changed it to try to be on the right side of history. Right? They took the Dixie out of the band name.
Yeah.
Which
they've been calling themselves the Chicks for
a
long time
people
internally.
Don't recognize them that way, right? And so they kind of have to, in some ways, rebuild some of that brand recognition. And that's a tough call to make, but they did it because it was the right call to make. And I really appreciate that about them.
That, there's a quote that's, even if you're, I'm going to twist it all around. I know it, but you do the right thing, even if you're standing alone.
Yeah.
Even if you're, that's called integrity. But,
right.
When no one's watching, when no one's paying attention to do the right thing. But, there's also an aspect of doing the right thing, even if you're the only one doing it, because it's right.
Even if it puts you in danger, even if it's going to make you unpopular with your specific group of people,
right?
If it's the right thing to do, you should stand up and do it. Yeah.
Exactly. So Alanis Morissette was girl power to the nth degree for me in the 90s.
She was crush power for me to the nth degree.
Because of she was younger.
Well, we are the same age. But she was on TV. And I was watching her
as
on
a little
TV
kid,
as
right?
a little kid. At 12 years old, she was on You Can't Do That on Television, which is a Canadian Nickelodeon show. But I would watch, and she had a little, short haircut and stuff, but she was so cute. I assume that the feelings that I had for her as a 12-year-old are similar to the way people feel about Millie Bobby Brown nowadays, right? Kids her age seeing her on TV and having a crush on her. Because I had a big crush on Alanis Morissette.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's awesome. Her music is really girl power.
Super duper duper smart.
Yeah.
Listening to her talk. I like listening to her talk. Yeah. But her new song, Blaze, kills me. Every time it's on and I play it, I just look at our little girl and our boys and I go, oh.
Oh, is that the one that she sings about her kids?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that song.
So there's a funny little story. We've all established that I didn't know that certain things existed. And it's kind of a pain in the butt because now when I listen to things, I go, man, I wish I'd have known that because as a kid, I would have been way cooler. Or I would have felt way cooler.
Felt way cooler. You were probably pretty cool kid.
No, are you joking?
You weren't cool.
No. Nope. I was the bottom of the stack of cool.
Oh, no.
Yeah. No. Okay. Yeah. Bottom of the stack.
Let's not talk about how uncool you think you were.
I was over at a friend's house.
Yeah.
And she goes, watch this and then we're going to do it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And so I watched the opening of this movie.
Right.
And I don't know what it's called or whatever. And so we recreated the entire opening of it. And it's it has a song and it's got a little dance to it. And so we did it 15 times. We just did it over and over and over again. Right. And then years and years later, after I met you and I knew what the world actually was,
right.
it was Adventures in Babysitting. The opening where she's dancing along to the song with the hairbrush and she's getting ready for a date. And it's to the Then He Kissed Me song by the Crystals.
Right.
Oh, please.
So you didn't know at the time
when
you were doing this choreographed dance party with your friend
messed up
what the song was or what the movie was because you just watched that one piece, practiced it, and then did it.
Yeah.
And then years later, you found out all of this new information. That's pretty cool.
It's creepy in a way, but then also,
how did you not watch the whole movie? Did she just be like, "Oh nope"? Okay, that's all we need to know about this.
Yes. So after we were done, after we did the opening 15 times, we had lunch and then I went home. I didn't even get to watch the rest of the movie. It ended with, oh God, he's here. And then she stopped it.
Oh no.
It was her house, her rules. You know what I mean?
Oh, she wanted to control play a little bit.
But it was fun. And, every once in a while you hum it under your breath or whatever, but I didn't know what it was called. I didn't know what the movie was. Nothing. Right. Probably wasn't allowed to watch that movie either.
No,
don't fuck with the babysitter.
Oh,
I wouldn't have been allowed to watch that.
There's some swearing in it, but there's no other bad things, right?
Yeah.
I liked that movie a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah, it was.
But I actually got to see the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, la-dee-da. All this music that's out there. And music is such a generic word to say about what it all represents.
Right. Yeah, there's more to it than just, I mean, it's like anything else that we categorize, right? We give something a term or a name, and it doesn't really tell the full story about what it is. That's what this podcast is for.
Yeah, I guess
so. We can tell the full story about what it means to us.
Yeah, but there's so much out there that you don't even know exists. Like, unless you're a music producer of some kind, then all this great stuff exists. BTS, where it's out of Japan, or it's just I don't even know if
BTS is Korea, isn't it?
Is it? Oh shit, sorry. But because it's K-pop, but still, there's all these things that you don't know exists, and then you're around young people. Thank you, Liam and Bryce. And then they show it to you, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's not my language, but I still can like it. It's still amazing.
I think music kind of transcends that, right? Like those cultural and language barriers, right?
Yeah.
I don't think you have to understand the words to a K-pop song 100% to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Just like you don't have to understand how to speak the language in India to enjoy a Bollywood song or Bollywood movie, right?
Which I love. I love Bollywood movies.
Right. Or even any other movie that might be in another language, right?
Yeah.
You can enjoy I can't because I can't read fast enough, but other people can enjoy those movies, by reading subtitles or whatever and get some more art and a different perspective on things.
And I'll tell you what, I don't see myself as an old person. I just don't.
Right.
I always feel younger than I actually am. But what our kids, watch and listen to is so cool. And, I don't know everything. I'm not watching things that new things come into very often. So, you have to listen to what young people, and you have to pay attention to what young people are watching and listening to, because it could find something really great for yourself. I'm watching anime with the boys now, and it's really cool.
Yeah, you've really
Space Dandy, and it's amazing stuff. Cowboy Bebop is awesome.
You've become a big fan of that.
I have, and I like it, and I'm thankful to our kids.
But how much of that? So this is getting off topic on the music thing, but how much of that enjoyment of anime is the actual content itself, or is it just the spending time with and bonding over with the kids?
So I'm going to say the mom thing. I'm going to say both because I am very nerdy and I like that kind of thing.
Right.
And maybe I wouldn't continue to watch it if it wasn't with the guys and
you
talking about it with the guys.
Own.
Yeah, I don't think I'd watch it on my own necessarily. But it is a lot of fun sharing it with someone.
Yeah. Well, everything's more fun sharing with someone, right?
Yeah. Someone said, I don't know who said it, but someone said it doesn't exist unless, you can share it with someone.
I said that. Remember?
Did you say
you're
that?
not a real celebrity unless I know who you are.
No, that's not the same thing.
In terms of music today for you, do you feel like you have a better grasp on what's out there? I don't think anybody can ever know everything that exists in any specific type of entertainment, but there's board games all the time that I hear about and go, oh, I've never heard of this before. And it's like 10 years old, right? Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, geez, I thought I had a pretty good grasp on that. Do you feel like you have a good grasp on music, or do you still feel like there's tons more out there to explore?
I think there's so much more out there.
Yeah.
Like we were watching SNL the other night, and Her.
Oh yeah.
Didn't no clue.
Yeah, I'd never heard of her either.
Who this person was, but I think it was the second song that she played where she had the electric guitar and she had these rose-colored glasses.
Yeah.
And she
gave me Prince vibes on the second song.
Yeah, she was all done up, and I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't understand what she's saying because, some music I just, it's a little mumbly for me or it's different, but I don't think language doesn't matter. What they're saying really doesn't, it has some impact if you know what that means, but I don't have a grasp on any of it. I just know that.
Do you think she was mumbling, or is it similar to like the IT crowd?
Yeah, probably that.
Yeah.
I'm 4 sentences behind. I have bad hearing. That's probably what it is.
You do have bad hearing. That is for sure. Like if we're not facing each other and I try to talk to you, you're just like, la da da.
Okay. And the masks, man, I can't do it.
Well, yeah, but even before the masks, I don't want you to put too much blame on the masks. Could be even before the masks, you were having a problem with that.
We'll just cut this part out then.
Why?
Because I want to be kind of cool.
The deafness doesn't make you cool.
Okay. Yeah, but if I can't hear what you're saying,
oh, yeah,
then I kind of,
Do you have anything else on music that you want to talk about?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't know. I like it. I want other people to like it. It makes me feel good. I want other people to feel good.
Yeah.
Especially during this crappy ass time of.
Do you have any music recommendations for our listeners? What's one recommendation? I'm going to say Harry Styles' Fine Line album. Because I think that a lot of people aren't listening to it that would enjoy it. And I say, give it one listen. If you don't like it, that's totally fine. It's not going to be for everybody, but at least give it one listen and really open your heart to it because it's good.
We could just end it right there. That's a good one.
Do you feel the same? You agree with that?
I agree with that.
Okay.
It's a good album.
Cool.
And you're like, I'll listen to it again. I'll listen to it again. I'm like, all right, fine. And I went and listened to it. I'm like, okay, this is really good. I'll just listen to it more.
All right.
Really loud because I'm apparently going deaf.
I love you.
I love you too.
Hey, Lou.
Yeah.
Did you know that you can get a fact check and show notes if you go to louandmepodcast.com and listen to the episodes there?
Really?
Yeah. I mean, you can listen wherever you want. Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter,
Nice.
Instagram. But if you go to our website and listen, you're going to get a little bit of extra stuff there.
First, right?
First, yes. We post first on the website always.
Awesome.
It's louandmepodcast.com. The Lou and Me podcast is a Matthias Soares production. The song is No Carpets by the New Forevers. Produced and edited by Moose. Hosted by Lou and me.
Thanks for listening.